juicy pair of Italian twins.
Now, if I was to say to you Italian V-twin superbike, the chances are you'd say Ducati, and quite rightly, with 10 World Superbike Championships under their belt since 1988, they are a name synonymous with racing success. The 916 resides in the Guggenheim Museum.
Johnny, you're just waffling on. You're not telling the full story. Let me do that. Go away. Now, the fact is, other Italian bike manufacturers are famous for building V-twins. Take, for instance, Moto Guzzi. This classic here is the modern day version of the Le Mans, a 70s superbike that just about cleared the floor with everything as far as production racing was concerned. And this one, a more modern superbike, the 2004 RSV Factory. A brilliant looking bike designed by a Brit, I'll have you know, Martin Longmore, and a bike that goes pretty much as it looks, fantastically well. You've got the latest spec suspension, latest spec V-twin engine. This is a fantastic Italian offering that can rival any Ducati.
At first glance, these two might seem as comparable as a Learjet with a Tonka toy, but they're both brand new takes on Italian V-twin favourites. The air-cooled Guzzi has been around in one form or another since the 60s, and could teach the Aprilia a thing or two when it comes to winning world championships. The RSV, on the other hand, is all gleaming plastic and punchy motor. It's Sophia Loren versus Monica Bellucci.
John, both Italian V-twins, but how different are these bikes, man?
Flipping chalk and church mouse, mate. I mean, on opposite ends of the spectrum. When I was a young I used to laugh.
What, yesterday?
Well, I used to laugh at bikes like this. Now I'm an old I think it's flipping great.
Riding the Guzzi is a time warp to the way bikes were. Its lazy, air-cooled, two-valve engine plods gloriously away, exuding classic performance.
It's how superbikes used to be back in the 70s. I think it really retains that sort of historic feel about it, you know? It means a lot to me. I had a Moto Guzzi Le Mans Mark II, one of the sort of the early versions of that bike. And I don't know, it was a bit of a trip down memory lane. There was a lot of nostalgia involved in riding this, you know?
You can really enjoy this bike without doing 190 miles per hour. It's not slow by any means, it sounds fabulous, looks great, and the handling's dependable and surprisingly good.
I really thought I would hate this, and I don't, because it's just a different way of motorcycling. I love it's not that slow. I mean, it puffles up to 100 miles an hour very briskly, and I love the fact that you've got this great big old-fashioned cockpit you sit behind, and I quite like the fact that it's incredibly heavy, and everything seems to happen in slow motion.
The Guzzi is nothing like a modern superbike. The gearbox is heavy, the clutch agricultural, but the thumping engine really satisfies, even if it could do with a few more revs.
What is strange is they seem to have like halved the rev range with a hacksaw. It doesn't actually get going.
Yeah. I mean, what's the red line?
Well, I mean, the yellow line is at 7,000 and the red line's at 8, but it doesn't actually get going till 5. So you've basically got about 2,000 RPM to play with, which is like, you know, my old
two-stroke.
It's my old 350 LC.
There's quite a bit of torque reaction, isn't there, from the motor? It kicks to one side.
Yeah, but that's just like a BMW. That's no big deal.
Shaft drive reaction, that's fairly pronounced. If you're absolutely on it, like the rear suspension just stiffens up so much it starts bouncing.
I mean, that's all part of its kind of old world charm for me. But it's got this Öhlins suspension on it, which is a bit like, I don't know, putting sort of silicone implants on me granny.
Yes,
you know,
a bit unnecessary.
Yes,
isn't it?
I think to me it looks bloody great. I love it. I love the looks of it. I really do. I love the fact that it's industrial and it's big and it's heavy and it's made of cast iron. The modern motorcyclist or sports motorcyclist is totally going to turn his nose up at this and laugh at it, and basically you are a bit of an old fart riding this, are you not?
Yeah, I mean
you are in very real danger of having every fogey on the road pulling you over wanting to chat riding the Moto Guzzi, aren't you?
I mean, that's part of the sacrifice, I guess.
The Aprilia. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of early incarnations of the RSV.
Why not?
I think it looked crap, it sounded tinny, and I think it would, to be honest, for me, it was a bit of reaction. Everyone went on about how great it was and and it just wasn't, to me, a patch on the 996 Ducatis are out of them, but that thing looks special, goes special, is special. I think that's a cracking bike.
This new RSVR is a distinct improvement over the old one, especially in the real world, i.e. the road. It's a much more sorted bike that's a lot easier to get the best from.
I think as a road bike, it's much better than the old RSVR.
Oh, unquestionably, yeah.
You know, it's much more comfortable and easygoing. It's a bit lower. You just feel part of it, you know.
Well, it's got that nice sort of feel when you tuck in, the tank holds you in place, you get down behind the bubble, and you know it doesn't matter how quickly you feed in gear, to just taco revs up there. It's got that, you know, it's a bit of an X factor. It's a beautiful bike to ride fast. The brakes are unbelievably
one of the
strong.
best features, definitely.
Unbelievable. It doesn't matter how fast or how over hot you go into a corner, just psst, one hit on the Brembo brakes and you're down to speed. It still sounds a bit tinny. I suppose that's a 60-degree V-twin as opposed to a 90.
This Aprilia is much more usable than previous incarnations. It still has some of the quirkiness that Italian bikes have become famous for, and takes a bit of time to get to know and love. But when you do, it's a really involving experience.
You don't just get on this and feel at home on it straight away. I need to do 20 or 30 miles on it just to feel comfortable. Riding position's a bit odd. I mean, that is dead easy to ride. This one needs a bit more.
Oh no, I
effort.
feel more at home on that straight away than this. As good as the Aprilia is, as efficient as quick as it is.
It's just summed it up though. It's very efficient. It's very automated.
It's just another brilliant superbike.
Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
this is genuinely different.
That is equally satisfying to ride as that.
Yeah.
And the beauty is, you only have to ride at about 100 miles an hour on that thing to really enjoy yourself. That puts you under a bit more pressure. This test has proved, has it not, that there are different ways of cracking the V-twin egg.
Oh, completely.
I mean, you know, you couldn't get bikes that are as different as these two, yet still have the same engine configuration. You know?
This is a gentleman's sports motorcycle, whereas this is still the young blade. You know, I mean, you get a set of cans on that small number plate, I mean, you'll be away. I mean, same on this, get a pair of Terminoni pipes and it will sound glorious.
The leading but final question, which one of the two do you prefer, to the extent that, you know, which one would you buy? Which one would you open your wallet
that's
for?
the best part of 11 grand. This is 8 grand. I'm getting old now. I'm going to take the Guzzi.
I would have this and another wacko sort of off-road bike or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a brilliant bike, but it's just a bit too conventional.
I can't believe I've opted for this, but yeah. I'm going to take the Guzzi.
Life's full of surprises.
Thank God.
Yeah. Exhibit A.